Hi, it's amazing to have you here on this episode of Anatomy with Ethan. Today, we are going to be talking about the human heart. How many chambers made of the human heart? What is the human heart all about? And so on. Today, we are going to discover all those mysteries. Why what is called what in the human heart? Let's dive into it. This is the human heart that has been dissected. Okay, I just want us to understand something. The human heart is responsible for the flow of blood through the human body. And the human body has two types of blood, which is the oxygenated, which means it has oxygen, and the deoxygenated blood, which means it's oxygen deficient. The human heart has four chambers, two ventricles and two atria. These four chambers enables the human heart to pump blood efficiently. Let's see what we are talking about. This is the right ventricle of the human heart, and this is the right atrium of the human heart. Both the right ventricle and the right atrium of the human heart is responsible for the deoxygenated blood, and the other way is the left ventricle, and this is the left atrium. The left atrium and the left ventricle are responsible for the transportation of oxygenated blood throughout the human body. The right ventricle and the right atrium is responsible for the deoxygenated blood, which means that they collect blood from the rest of the body and send it to the lungs for purification. How does it happen? Blood from all over the body enters the right atrium through the superior and the inferior vena cava. This is the inferior and this is the superior vena cava, and it collects blood from all over the body and sends it to the right atrium, and this is the right atrium. When the blood is in the right atrium, it passes through the atrioventricular valve. We are talking about the right section of the heart, and in the right section of the heart we have the tricuspid valve, which is one of the atrioventricular valve. The atrium, the ventricle, which means it's a valve that links the atrium and the ventricle. Let's look at this. This is the tricuspid valve here. It is tricuspid, because it has three leaflets. We have the anterior leaflet. Let me zoom it so that you can see what we are talking about. Now, if we talk about the tricuspid valve, it has three leaflets. This is the anterior leaflet, this is the septal leaflet, and this is the posterior leaflet, making it three. That's why it's called the tricuspid valve, and it is one of the atrioventricular valve. One is found in the left chamber of the heart and one at the right chamber. We are discussing about the right chamber, which is the atrioventricular valve in this case. And here we have now the right ventricle, which so therefore means that the blood, the deoxygenated blood, enters the right atrium through the inferior and the superior vena cava, and this sends the blood through the tricuspid valve to the right ventricle. The right ventricle in turn sends the deoxygenated blood to the lungs for purification through the pulmonary trunk, and it's using the pulmonary valve. If I rotate it here, you will see a bigger picture of it. Now, this is it. Blood comes in here, deoxygenated blood comes in here through the superior and inferior vena cava, gets into the right atrium. From the right atrium, it passes to the tricuspid valve, which is one of the atrioventricular valve, to the right ventricle. From the right ventricle, it leaves through the pulmonary valve into the lungs through the pulmonary trunk. That is the movement of deoxygenated blood in the heart. On the other hand, we have the left atrium and the left ventricle, which is responsible for oxygenated blood. The oxygenated blood enters the heart through the left atrium, and the left atrium sends the blood, the oxygenated blood, to the left ventricle through another atrioventricular valve. Now, this is now called bicuspid valve or the mitral valve because it has just two leaflets. The left chamber of the heart, we have a mitral or a bicuspid valve with just two leaflets that enables oxygenated blood to leave from the left atrium into the left ventricle. When this blood gets into the left ventricle, it is then sent out. Let me rotate. As you can see here in the left ventricle, you will also see this aortic valve. This is the aortic valve here that sends the blood out through this aorta to the rest of the body. That is basically how the blood flows in and out of the heart. This leads us to the end of today's episode. Do not forget to subscribe and follow for more videos like this. Thank you. Ciao.